I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself, and I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself, and I love myself like a baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Now I know I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Okay, good evening. This is Beverly Pryor, and we have a special guest with us tonight at Tuesday Tenderness. It's Dr. Nancy Little, and she's a licensed Unity teacher from Unity of Dallas, and I've known Nancy over 20 years, I think.
Yes.
She is a clinical psychologist and a teacher and a lecturer, and she does workshops in corporate America. And she's an author. She has a new book coming out called Energy Sparks. So I will now stop sharing our little screen here so that we can say hello to Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be with you all tonight. Thank you for inviting me, Beverly. Yeah, we go back to the 90s.
Yes, so glad you're with us tonight. So everyone's going to be on mute until you have, when you have questions, you can let me know and I'll unmute people, or you
Okay.
can unmute whoever you want to speak. Otherwise, it sometimes gets a little noisy. Or if you want to open it up to everybody, we can do that as well.
Well, I think having mute on a part of the time is helpful because it eliminates the background noise, but I do really encourage you all to use your chat to ask questions and give me encouraging feedback, or if I ask a question or say something, just I'm trying to type in a message myself right now. Just give me a hi or a thumbs up or a heart, or sometimes I'm going to ask you some specific ideas that you could share with the whole group.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we got the chat going already. And
good. The only other thing I wanted to say, Nancy, is if someone decides, we're recording, so I want you to know that. So if someone decides they want to share something very personal and you don't want it recorded, I can pause the recording and then we'll turn it back on. So
good to know. I just was about to ask that myself. So this is my passion, talking about self-care, and that music, Beverly, that was so perfect of a segue into what we're going to talk about, because this is all about tenderness and gentleness and self-compassion and love, and treating ourselves as if we truly are treating and reaching out to the most important person in the world. And I know sometimes we don't think of ourselves as the most valuable, precious soul that we know, but it's true. We are all here on purpose, and we have gifts to share with the world. And only when we're really nurturing ourselves well and being kind to ourselves do we restore in a way that allows us to call forth that inner divinity and to really share our magnificence in new and different ways. This is calling all of us to be a presence that it can feel overwhelming, it can feel difficult, but there's opportunities, there's a richness about this that really speaks to all of us despite the tragedy that we're enduring. So I'm going to give you a tip to start, and it's about a possible assessment that you can take. All of my self-care students, and I teach for the Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute, they all take this assessment. And it's very simple. You can do it online. It's a self-compassion assessment. And I didn't type the last part of it, which is you need to go to selfcompassion.org, O-R-G. And the woman that is the self-compassion expert, that's written books and has videos and does so many valuable articles and teachings for the world, is right up the road from you all at UT Austin. Her name is Dr. Krista Neff. I haven't met her, but I feel like I know her because I've studied her work and I've been fascinated with her for a long time. She's on my list of people I'd like to meet. So, and she's done some videos. One that's on her website is with Dr. Brene Brown. You may be more familiar with Brene Brown and her great research and work, and they have a lot of overlap. And now is the time that we're being called to be self-compassionate. Now, I'll tell you a little secret. Almost all of my students, and I've been teaching for more than 2 years, about 2.5 years, this particular class. And I think every single one of them, hundreds of people, have tested higher on the compassion for others scale than they tested on the self-compassion scale. Who does that surprise? They have a lot more empathy, sensitivity, kindness that they're willing to extend to other people rather than themselves. So, but you may be different, but it's fun to go and take the assessment and see what it means for you, what your score is. And it is influenced by external events. It's relatively stable, but we're in an extreme life occurrence right now. But there's some videos and recordings and meditations that may just be just what you need, kind of like the soothing music, Karen Drucker music that we heard to start. And there's lots of different ways that we can tune in and tend to ourselves. So I'd just like to know from you all, and I'll share too, I hope Beverly does too, what are some of the challenges or the difficulties that you're experiencing right now? How has life changed for you? Like if you were to say that you bumped into a wall, what would that wall look like? What would it be? What would it represent? And I can invite you to chat and type, or you can actually speak out. Who would like to talk? I don't see any hands raising in the air.
I'll go. I'll break
Oh,
the
yeah,
ice,
Beverly.
Nancy.
Oh, I
I
see
always,
he's typing. Oh, you wrote that. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I was typing in, so I thought maybe that would start a little bit. But I noticed that I did not last week, but the week before, I gave some things out of the Heart of Resilience book by Greg Braden.
Uh-huh.
And it's like healthy coping skills and unhealthy coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
I had to admit to everyone, because I was giving that as part of my talk on Sunday, I'm in some pretty unhealthy coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
My jaw is clenched. I'm having to do things to stretch it out all the time. My sleep is disrupted. And I think that's partly just because the energy of the whole world has shifted so greatly, and I'm very empathic. But yeah, I'm trying to be very careful about food intake and focusing on my fruits. I'm trying to really be mindful, but it's a challenge.
It is. And just noticing, just being aware, this is a time to be perceptive and just to spend a little bit of time just tuning in to really what's going on with you. It's not bad or good. It's not right or wrong. It's just an observation. Just pretend you're a researcher and you're doing some research on a very important person, and that would be you. And just notice what's going on and trends that you see, because we're all different and we're all experiencing this differently. You know, you mentioned the clenched jaw, Beverly. I notice that when mine starts clenching, and it hasn't happened in years, that when I eat, that I make a popping sound, and that started again. That's my telltale sign. So that's an issue. So Patsy mentioned feeling helpless with her husband's dementia. And yes, that sounds to me, Patsy, and you can correct me, that you have the primary responsibility for caring for him. So you're with him by yourself. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And is this helplessness increased in the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Yes, he's been showing more signs on a daily basis, it seems like now, than it was before.
Okay.
And without our support group to be with, because we're staying at home, it's really getting tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. So it's a change in routine. It's a change in for you, and that you're not getting as much support as you would typically find if you had those other groups to participate in.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay. So Mark and Gayleen report they're having more time to participate in some of their hobbies, or the things that maybe they don't get to do so much, like read, work in the yard, be together. You know, that can be a blessing. And there are many blessings through this, but there's also, for many people, this underlying undercurrent of uncertainty. And we can argue and say, well, there's always uncertainty. And yes, there is, but right now it feels a little more dramatic to most of us. But that's great. So working in the yard, are you planting flowers or your spring garden, or what's that look like, Mark? I don't hear
We
you.
have a nice yard here.
Okay.
I'm getting to spend more time with it. We got it with very little grass in the backyard. And so it's been a hobby of mine for the last couple of years to try to encourage more grass to grow back there. And I'm seeing the results of that now, and I'm also going to spend more time on that.
That's wonderful. So you've just kind of shifted where you're focusing your energy. And just for everybody, there's one of my tips, and Beverly mentioned I have a new book coming out, hopefully later this month, called Energy Sparks, to refresh, to recharge, refresh, and revitalize. And one of the tips is exactly about working in your garden or planting flowers or doing something that involves working with your hand, kind of getting dirty, being in the soil, and where you can see the outcomes. And there's several that relate to that. So those are all useful habits or practices, ways to use your leisure time, and you see good results.
It's kind of like getting back to nature.
It
which I think
is.
is what a lot of people are experiencing. Oh, why there's a world besides the business world, the work world.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that will bring a lot of changes in our consciousness.
Yeah, you're really appreciating the beauty that's all around you, and maybe seeing it with different eyes even, and then getting to interact with it. Yeah, I read a tip somebody posted on, I don't know, social media or somewhere, and it said, if you can, hug a tree. Go out and literally hug a tree. I haven't done it yet. It's this morning when I got up, it was in the low 30s with wind chill. So it's not been the ideal weather for me to be outside today, but I plan to get out and do my tree hugging and my grass fondling later in the week when the temperatures go up a bit. So that's a good one. That's a good one thing that you're noticing, but I really ask what the challenges are, and then we're going to turn to what are you doing? How are you managing? What are you implementing that's having a positive effect on keeping your stress levels down and keeping your anxiety at bay and really fueling your joy right now, because we have opportunities to invest in all those things. Anybody else have anything they want to share about a challenge before we move on? Well, I'll share one, and it's that I have a 14-month-old grandson, and right now I'm not able to see him. And that has been really difficult. I see him on FaceTime, and I see him on the videos that my daughter sends me. But in some ways that makes it almost harder because I see how much he's changing, and I just want to hold him and sing with him and rock him and get on the floor with him and do all the fun things that we can do. And and it's hard because I don't know when that'll end. If I knew that it was going to last a set period of time, I think it would be easier than not knowing when this is going to draw to a close. Okay, well, I have a couple of things I want to talk about and introduce you to. And one of the acronyms and the ways that I think about self-care and wellness is based on an acronym called SPECIES. and I like acronyms because it helps me remember things. So it's that letters and species represent the first letter in the particular aspect of wellness that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to share a handout with you, and hopefully you all will be able to see this. Beverly made me a host, so give me a second, and if anybody else has anything that they want to add, I'm going to add this too.
I'll make another confession.
Go ahead.
When we had to
Confession is good for the soul.
when we had to finally decide to close the building, I went into adrenaline, hyper-vigilant overload and, planned these 3 nights a week for us to get together. And, I'm trying to learn Zoom in a matter of days. And that is an aspect of my personality, that like, what can I do to give me some, energy, put all that energy into some sort of project where I can feel an accomplishment. And I've had to sort of step back now and say, okay, tonight is going to be the last of like weekly getting people booked and arranging. We'll still do this Tuesday Tenderness once a month.
Okay.
But it's a lot for me to, coordinate speakers. And I'm also been trying to get speakers on Wisdom Wednesday, and because I don't want to be a talking head 3 nights a week. So, and tomorrow is a conflict with our board meeting, so we have to change the time. So I just noticed how I put myself into that tailspin, just trying to make sure that everybody knew we were here for them, and we've done mailers, and we've making phone calls, and just trying to make sure that people felt connected and that we stayed cohesive as a community. So that's my confession of my dark side of my personality.
Well, I think it's a very tender part of your personality as well, that you care for people and you want to make sure. Is it showing now? I can't tell. Can you see the self-care wellness model, the 7 dimensions of wellness?
Did you closed a window, and maybe you need to click on is it a PowerPoint or a document?
It's a document.
Click on the document again. Because it looks
Drag
like it's
your shared window to the front. Okay.
yeah.
I've been doing this for a while, but I haven't shared so much. Okay, resume share.
Okay.
Did that help? No, sharing is pause. Okay, resume share. Shared window to the front.
Nancy, you're doing better than every mistake you can possibly make, I have made. And Sunday morning, I showed the video that they put together with all the ministers talking about reflect, release, and rise up. And I didn't close that web window. And the next video started playing. It was how to make yourself look okay on camera after 50. And it started that right in the middle. Okay, here's your document.
Yay. Finally. Okay, well, this is, let me move this chat box out of the way. Okay, the 7 dimensions of wellness. And I just want to emphasize, these are just ways for you to think about what you're doing to take care of yourself during this time. Sometimes we get over-focused on one dimension or another. Like many of us get over-focused on physical wellness. And that's important, what we're putting in our bodies, how well we sleep, how much movement we get, but it's not the only. So this is an idea to get you to think more broadly. And in the first one, the first S, and it doesn't matter, it's just the way it got printed on the sheet, is social wellness. So for many of us, that's a little bit more challenging right now. Maybe we can't connect with our friends. We can't go meet people for lunch. We can't go to somebody's house right now. We can't even go to the church right now and have those social interactions or those meals that mean so much to us. So the way that we deal with that is by being more creative, and that may involve using tools like Zoom or FaceTime that maybe we haven't used that much. But I tell you, I have a friend that's turning 95 on April 25th, and she and I FaceTime, and she FaceTimes with her family that lives out of state as well. And I totally believe that, you know, with a little practice, we can all do it. It may feel daunting at first, but it's just invaluable because you can see people, you can see their space, and we need social connections. We need the feeling that we matter and that we're not all alone. And whether you have a spouse or you don't, we need our friends, we need our family, and we need our spiritual community. And so the ability to interact is really key now. So if you're thinking about what could I do to boost my health, to boost my wellness, one thing you could do is be more intentional about reaching out to other people. And maybe there's some hesitance to do that. Maybe you think, oh, they're probably doing fine, or they probably are busy doing other things. Don't just imagine that, because it could be the farthest thing. I reached out to a friend the other day that had been on my heart and in my mind so much, and it turns out she's been dealing with walking pneumonia, and she's 20 years younger than I am, and she has been in good health, but she's been wrestling with it for more than a month. She did test negative for COVID, but she really needed a boost of encouragement. So I wound up feeling really glad that I was able to reach out to her. And now I know that I can follow up with cards and other messages and other ways of supporting her, because she had begun to feel somewhat discouraged. So social wellness is one of those ways that we give and receive our positive love and a concern and compassion for other people. Does anybody have any questions about that or want to say anything about social before we move on? This is a time where you really can't have enough friends. It's kind of like any crisis. When we're going through any big life challenge, I always tell people, don't rely on just one person to talk to. Now, why would that be? Because you'll wear them out. If you're relying on them to be your go-to person, you know, it can get a little overwhelming. So kind of spread the love, spread it out among several friends, and then you have more people boosting you up. And this group is a great way of bringing people together so you can connect and kind of mutually join hands. I mean, I guess one of the things I'd like us to do before we close is have a joining of our hands in a way that we'll pray out to go forward, united and together. So remind me of that, or you can help me incorporate that, Beverly, in a positive way. So let's go through the P. The P obviously is physical. Now, most of our New Year's resolutions, if we make them, or intentions or goals, or most of the calls to silent unity have to do with physical wellness. And that's because we know how important our health is. We don't like it when we're feeling tired or fatigued or low energy. And we know that when we adopt more healthful habits, that we feel more empowered. We have the zest for life that really gives us that get up and go to get things done. But physical wellness is important now too, because we want our immune systems to be strong. One of the ways that we can distance ourselves from this whole COVID thing is by having strong immunity. And there are certain things we can do to make that accelerate good nutrition, adequate sleep. Of course, all the hand washing. We've probably never had cleaner hands in our lives in the last month. I know that's true for me. And other habits like movement, physical movement. I don't like to call it exercise. It sounds a lot more appealing to me if I just think I have to move around my house, like dancing to music or playing with my cat or running out back with my dog. It sounds a lot more appealing. But so pay attention to what you do that helps and what you do that hurts. So there's a lot of negative outcomes of drinking or eating high levels of sugar or carbohydrates right now. All that harms your immune system and weakens it. So think about what you can do for self-care that it would enable you to have optimal physical wellness. Optimal physical wellness varies by person. So what may be optimal for me would be totally different for somebody else. Maybe they have other challenges or limitations or genetics, perhaps, that make their physical abilities a little bit different. So now emotional. Finally, we're hearing a lot more about emotional wellness and mental health and the idea that we don't have to pretend that everything's beautiful and lovely and glorious and that all is well. At the core, we know that's true, but we have some realities that are giving us some causes for concern, whether or not we tend to be very revealing with our emotions. Some people are showing more anger, more frustration, or more emotional sadness, more tears. So it can be all over the map, and sometimes it can be multiple things within a short period of time. But there are ways that we can support ourselves emotionally, to share our feelings again with somebody else, or to write about them in a journal, to give voice to what is concerning us, and to find ways to move through that productively. You know, when I'm mad, I like to be physical. I like to run or ride my bike, or when I'm feeling really frustrated, and I just kind of pump it out. And there's different ways to do that for different people, but acknowledging what we're feeling and not thinking of it as bad or wrong is crucial. So this career occupational wellness, that is related really to what I heard from, I'm going back to try to check the name, from Mark, and he even said spending more time with our avocations. And so we have hobbies, we have things that we enjoy doing. I'm starting to do some painting again, and I'm doing some more writing in different ways, and I'm doing some podcasts. So I'm taking some classes, all in very small doses. I don't want to give the impression that I'm working night and day, because I am carving out huge chunks of white space for myself. But sometimes during these lulls, if we engage in a way that gets us pumped up or excited, and the ways that we feel like we can make a contribution, even as a volunteer, is really important, and it contributes to our wellness. Kind of similarly, the I of the species acronym is intellectual wellness. And that's about new ideas, new decisions, learning. And there's so many online classes right now that are being offered for free. There are art museums and science museums that are giving virtual tours and offering opportunities to engage. There are language classes and other courses that are open. So I don't know. I don't think now is the time for me to learn a new language, but maybe for somebody else it would be the perfect distraction. So, but it just means that intellectual stimulation is important. You know, we can't just watch reruns of our favorite old shows every day, or new shows on Netflix or HBO or whatever channel we tend to gravitate towards. Or we get kind of weary and not sparked at all. We need some intellectual stimulation. It could even be crossword puzzles, or if you're good at this, those big old 500 or 1,000 piece puzzles. I max out at about 300 pieces personally. I've never been the best puzzle solver in the world. I like different kinds of puzzles, like crossword puzzles. So the second E of species is environmental wellness. And that may be about the actual physical environment, but it also has to do with our homes and our space. And I know a lot of people are doing things differently right now to simplify their space, to declutter. And it can give you a sense of ease, putting out the blankets or the cushions or the pillows that give you a sense of comfort. That can be very soothing to your soul right now. And I know I've had candles burning, I have music playing in the background, and I do those activities that create peace in my heart. And last but definitely not least is spiritual wellness. And that's investing in the activities and the practices that create peace and harmony internally, doing the meditation or the yoga or the daily word time or calling silent unity, whatever the practices are that give you a sense of connectedness to all that is, to whatever your word is for God, spirit, oneness. And for some of us, it's nature. For some, it can be found in the sanctuary of our sacred space that we've created in our home, our prayer area. But it's important to give yourself time to dabble in each of these different areas of wellness. And they're all important to feel that sense of upliftment and fulfillment and meaning, because every day during this coronavirus crisis or pandemic, however you want to conceptualize it, every day is meaningful. It's one of the days of our lives. So it's up to us to really be gentle with ourselves and care for ourselves and find ways to interact that give us that meaning and that sense of purpose. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'd like to invite you to share any ideas, and I'm going to stop sharing this so it won't be blocking your beautiful faces. There we go. And if you're interested in a copy, I can certainly email it to Beverly for her to share with you. So what one or two ideas came up for you about what you could add to your time right now? Invest in for self-care.
Would you like for me to unmute everyone?
Sure, go ahead and unmute everybody. I'll take a drink of my tea.
That way everyone can just speak up.
Thank you.
Dave Hubbard, what are you thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking about a vegetable garden. I've got 3 stock tanks, small stock tanks that are on order that I'm going to do the week, and I'm going to be starting a garden, vegetable garden. I've also been digging into the old great courses recordings that I have, some of which I've never even listened to. So I've got those going too, and Lots of projects, always lots of projects around the house. So I've really kind of been enjoying my time. As I mentioned in an earlier broadcast, I'm not feeling guilty about the things that I would have to be doing away from here because I can't leave. So, so that's been a nice side benefit.
That's
So
awesome.
You gave
Yeah.
us a chance for a segue there because Patsy Sherman is actually going to be having a gathering on Tuesdays to view a series on the great courses that she has and have a discussion group. So look for that. Sorry, Nancy, I had to plug Patsy's.
Oh, that's awesome,
Project.
Patsy. Way to go. Yeah, and I just made a comment in the chat, no guilt. This is a no guilt time. Whatever you're called to do, that is yours to do. So I love the vegetable garden idea and the great courses as well. What else are you doing, Patsy?
Well, I have to go with what Dave is because I've been actually walking around the property trying to figure out where I can put a little small vegetable garden, and I realized I have a stock tank that's just been sitting upside down, not being used, and I realized, oh, I could use that. So the next thing I got to figure out is what kind of dirt and how much to fill it up and all that. But that's my next project now, is to make me a little vegetable garden with my stock tank.
That sounds lovely.
May I say something? Look on YouTube. There are many, many, many pages on using stock tanks and how to mix the soil and everything.
Okay, good. I'll do that. I like YouTube information.
Yeah, and so that's engaging both the physical wellness as well as environmental wellness and intellectual. You know, when you're watching those YouTube videos, you're learning new skills and new things and getting new ideas. So some of these, I didn't really mention this specifically, but cut across several areas. So, and then ultimately, as you're eating your nutritious vegetables and delicious foods that you're going to prepare, that will affect your physical wellness in addition. So good job.
You can put it on your resume.
That's right.
Sure.
Rocio, Hetty, what kind of ideas have you had?
Well, I'm into the cooking, but I don't think that's very beneficial for me. I enjoy the cooking.
Fun.
It's fun, yes. And I have also deepened my meditation in very wonderful ways. And I have made a point to be more diligent about it. And now it kind of calls me. I've created a very good habit. And so I'm enjoying.
Lovely. That's awesome.
Enjoying.
Yeah, well, the number one reason that most people tell me they don't meditate is because they say they don't have enough time. So this is giving everybody an opportunity to
Yes.
invest in that.
Yes.
Thanks, Rocio.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hetty, do you want to share?
It really hasn't changed too much for me because I was pretty much housebound.
Mhm.
but I did order just two great tapes of great courses, one to travel in England and one in France. So I will tour France and England in a couple weeks.
Wonderful.
That sounds beautiful. So you get to travel without ever leaving your home.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's the safest way right now.
No, I'd like to put in a plug for a station you can stream. It's called Gaia. And there's a lot of different interesting things on there. But one of the things we're doing right now is it's called the Secret Power of Meditation. And if you're looking for something to help you with the meditation, this guy starts off with a 5-minute meditation and then gets up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, stops at 30. And
Nice.
we spent a week on each one at first, and now we're just kind of going through them daily. And it's really an excellent way to do some meditation. You find that you want something to help direct you with doing that. It's called Gaia, and it's a station you can, I think we subscribe to it through Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I have a subscription to Gaia, and I really, really like it. That and also Curiosity Stream also has some good resources in it as well.
What was the one you said?
Curiosity Stream.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. I'll look into it.
But yeah, Gaia has a whole lot of different things. Curiosity Stream goes into a lot more documentaries and stuff too.
For the younger folks out there that may be having trouble or have lacked the ability to begin a meditation program, both of my kids have begun to do Calm. And I've done Calm now for almost a month without missing a day, and I found it to be very useful. And they're all fairly short segments.
Yeah.
But I think it's really superb, and I recommended it to the kids most highly. And they've been sort of doing it hit or miss, but anything is better than nothing.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really effective way to introduce people and get them started.
Well, I'm
It's
not
an
sure
app
what
on
that
your.
is.
I was
Yeah.
just going to say it's an app on your smartphone for people who don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I put that in the chat. Calm is an app.
Yeah.
And some of my other students use Insight Timer, and they really like it. We don't have any shortage of ways to engage with our technology, that's for sure. So what else? What else? Who hasn't shared something they're doing that's really working well? Or something that you got out of the different species wellness categories?
Well, the intellectual is, this writing and whatever is going in my life. I'm not alone. I have a roommate.
Uh-huh.
Now she's working at home, and now the whole system kind of changed because I was used to being more alone. But the writing and that time in the morning when I dedicate to reading over past readings in my life, and it's I find I'm like more 1, 2, 3. Now I have to do this. Now the laundry, or keeping everything in order to know exactly where it is and not get distracted. And the day goes by. The social, I like to hear the voices of my children. I have some friends. I was also with the physical ordering some vitamins, and I wanted to find out about this guy that I knew in California 20 years ago, and I wanted him to be the one to provide me the vitamins because he worked in with USANA. He was a younger guy. We took yoga teaching to be yoga instructors together way back when, and I found in her through Facebook, and he's passed, and it like, wow, this is somebody that was younger. It's not supposed to go before in this time of being alone and meditating and thinking about more analyzing or replacing and all. So many memories of people that you don't have time to think of them. It's like you go back and there's memories and memories. I was sharing a video that was so I reached through my email and one of the emails didn't get through. And so I called her because obviously I don't have her email. She's in Florida. No, she's been through hell and back because her husband got a heart attack, and the heart has anyway, she's been and out of the hospital, the husband. So, just connecting more with people and hearing them in a way that can, encourage them, and it encourages me, and it's just, it's very important, that social part.
It is. And we need to nurture those connections, because you're right. Look, Rocio, it when we hear ourselves say things to other people, it reminds us of ways we could be more loving to ourselves, and then we get that interaction. It's really invaluable.
Yes, it is.
When we can listen and be listened to and feel heard, it really restores.
And these gatherings of these weeks with Beverly have been really super. Looking forward to. I put the alarm so I can be ready for it.
Good for you.
I'm so glad you do. We have a nice little group that meets on a regular basis. I want to wait real quick. I want to see if Mandy Scott or Dave and Mandy have anything to add, because we're getting to where we need to do your hand holding prayer.
Yeah.
I saw a nodding Mandy Scott. Do you have something to say?
I found during this time, being at home a lot more, I'm spending more time with my family, and I'm spending more time with my pets. And before this happened, when my dog was younger, I would constantly take him on walks all the time. And just, over the years, I just didn't want to anymore, or I just thought, playing in the backyard, playing fetch with him would be a good enough exercise. And now that I'm bonding with him more, it makes me feel good at the end of the day. Just because, he's getting older, and so, I've just really have cherished this time, spending more time with him. He's right here. He's laying in bed.
Oh, that's beautiful, Mandy. I'm sure he's very grateful to have you nearby.
Yeah.
Well, Russell's.
Dave?
What?
Don't you have anything to say?
No, I don't.
And say you don't have anything to say.
No, I don't have anything to add. During this time, I think, for whatever reasons, a lot of things have hit my family, and I'm working real hard on trying to let go and let God, when it doesn't seem there's a lot of that going on right now. What COVID has done to my family on a financial scale is unbelievable. And we're struggling with it on a day-to-day basis. So I do enjoy these little gatherings that we have a few times a week to get my mind off of that and on to something else.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're joining us.
Well, I'm typing a comment about, for many of us, the financial stress is a part of our daily processing, not knowing what's going to happen when and how things are going to get paid, and even how, for some of us, perhaps how we're going to get groceries. Not if there's toilet paper available, but how we're going to pay for it. So there are a lot of stressors that we're encountering. So I just want to express my gratitude for being able to share in this little piece of time with you tonight, because I do feel connected, and I'm honored both that Beverly asked me to come and that you've been able to share a little bit of your story with me. So let's just take a moment to envision that we're all connecting with our hands. That I'm reaching my hands out, but you can do this visualization and however you want. Just imagine that our hands are touching, that we're clasping, and that we can experience the warmth of two different hands touching our hands as if we were in a circle. One of those beautiful unity circles that we're so good at creating. So as we join our hands and link our hearts together, we just take a deep inhale breath in through our nose, hold for a count of 4, and blow out through our mouth. Blowing out as if we're blowing out a birthday candle for our next birthday. And we remind ourselves that we need to take pauses, that we need to breathe, that it will enliven and invigorate us. And as we connect our breath in this moment, we know that we are connected across this space. Our hearts, our spirits, our ideas, we are connected, supporting each other and loving each other through these unknown and uncertain times. And we remind ourselves that God is everywhere present, that we are never alone. Even though we may feel distressed and unsure, we can turn within, we can turn to God. And as we turn to prayer, we get subtle nudges and messages, and we acknowledge the opportunity to move forward inch by inch, step by step, day in and day out. And we are grateful for the time that we've shared together and the times that we will meet in the days ahead. And we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Nancy. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. We really appreciated it. I got a lot out of it.
Oh, thanks. Me too. And I didn't even hear your parrot, but it was funny, Patsy, and I guess it was Sandy talking about her dogs too. Her dog, when we started talking, my dog came right in and started licking my hand. It was so funny. It's like, he's like, you're talking about dogs. I want to be on this. I want you to show me too. All right, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody being here this evening. Thank you for participating. Thank you, Nancy. Let's do, yay.
Thank you.
That's what we have to do so you can see we're clapping.
Yeah, I get it. I feel
All right. Good night. I love you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.